This is the President McCormack Podcast with your host, Mark McCormack.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only James Puertas.
Yeah, baby.
Close?
Yeah, no, close enough. I mean, compared to the normal, yeah.
Yeah,
Better.
I get it pretty
average.
close. I have this weird thing, dude. Like when I meet people, I remember their face, right? Like I'll never forget a face. And then I hear their name and I got to say it in my head. Then I repeat it back. And then I try and say it again before the conversation's over, just so I kind of lock it in.
Right.
And the only names I'm actually scared of saying are Polynesian names. Like, I don't know if I have like something in my brain. I mix those names up so bad. And I'm like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
But
it's a cool thing that they also have nicknames.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's like big long names, like, but call me Ben. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is my friend Skip.
Yeah. It makes it a little bit easier, but I feel you. Yeah.
I love that, dude. I love that.
Well, I'm glad to be here. This is a first podcast.
Is it? Nice,
first
dude.
ever, dude.
Oh, I love getting people on the first
I'm
one.
excited. This is a cool vibe, cool room.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here, man.
Yeah, it's fun. So you're so the way we know each other is in the men's group that we're in, the We Are the They.
Yeah, the We Are the Day.
Greatest men groups of all time.
You know, honestly, it's been life changing for me for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how's it been for you?
It's been awesome, dude. I mean, first, coming into it, I mean, I think like everyone else, super standoffish. I mean, it's a men's group, right? And a bunch of just high caliber dudes, and slowly been peeling away these, fake thoughts about myself, and that wasn't good enough. But then, just really getting down to, do I have 50, brothers who I can lean on and who care about me genuinely? And that's been my main reason of coming into or wanting to be in Weird Today, is just to build real relationships.
Yeah.
Right. And just, have friends, as simple as that is, like that's why that was my main intention.
Yeah, we go through weird phases in life.
Yeah.
Where like I'm a really loyal dude, right, to my friends. Generally, at least I think, right? And I've had friends from high school and like just friends from my mission and like, but I'm 20, 23, 4 years out of that stuff now, right? And it's weird to kind of go through life and have some of those friendships end, right?
Right.
And I think people think that friendships, when they end, they blow up or there's like a falling out or something like that. It's not really true. Some of them just fade,
Right.
Some of them you have to close a chapter, which is weird, right? Because you're like, why am I doing this? Why do I have to do this? And then but you kind of realize it's like, no, that person's on that path, I'm on this path. Like we need to stop putting pressure on each other and just end these friendships, right? And coming into our men's group, man, it's like I've gained so many freaking friendships with guys who are just kind of on the same path as me. And I don't know, it feels right. You kind of get that same thing?
No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same feeling.
Yeah.
Like it's been new. So sometimes I'm the one that kind of, puts my hand out again. So distance, but definitely, it feels right for sure.
Yeah. I think it's good for society too. I didn't go into this thinking that, in fact, frankly, some of the personal development stuff I did in my 20s, right? So a lot of that stuff, it's a nice reminder. And like, I do all the exercises, one of the things I committed to is I'm going to just participate, right? But, a lot of it, I'm like, oh, I've kind of done this, I've kind of done that, like, we did that personality test and it's like, you're a driver. I'm like, yeah, I know. I've done that for a long time. And so, but when it comes to the relationship side though, and like connecting with guys and just like, I don't know, even just sharing your life with guys, it's just been so rewarding to me.
It really has. I think opening up about really what's inside with another, just a guy, it's just a lot of power in that. Yeah. And then you receive a lot back too.
Yeah. Right.
Because they're not just there, to take advantage or because they're interested in something else, but just you. Yeah. So it's it's been a cool journey. It was just barely a year, or
a little over a year,
over
right?
a year.
Yeah.
And with the relationship part, a lot of it had to do with me working on myself and kind of on my mental health journey.
Yeah.
But it's just been right for me. Like
And one thing we've been talking about recently that I love that you've been saying is like, you really love yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Like you've got to that point, which I got to that point a long time ago. I have to remind myself of that sometimes, right? I got to look in the mirror. I think you have to do that frequently, right? And be like, you know what, dude, I love you, man. Like it's me and you in this life, right? We got to go, you know? And I think I'd love to hear that from guys, from you, right? Where you're like, yeah, I love myself. You know, I've done work on myself. I've gone internal. I've decided that this life is about me, and it's about me, like living my life and enriching other people. You know?
No, it's, I think I was talking to you about this. I think the last 2 years, I felt like 10 years worth of work. Yeah. I mean, I just feel like it's so much work that has gone into it. I mean, it's easy when you say, yeah, I love myself, but there's so much work that has to go into that. Like you're going in deep and just being true. And it's been, you know, and it came to a point where I barely began to love myself, right? It's something new. It's within like the last couple of years where I'm like finally getting there. Starting with when we started in Moab, like I didn't have that love for myself. Yeah. I didn't know who I was, right? So I was barely kind of, you know, testing the waters and doing the work, and that's why it kind of fit right in, like where I was going, the path I was going. Watt came in and just kind of sped everything up. Yeah. Right. Especially with being surrounded with you, and you know, a lot of the people and the guys there, is just everybody's just being so real and vulnerable, trying to better themselves. But now, right now I can sit in this chair and not just say I love myself, but say I can accept who I am, the good and the bad. Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
And see, that's going to be amazing for your mental health, right? Mm. And I had a guest earlier, it was actually my sister, right? And sometimes we have like pretty opposing views on things, even though she actually thinks more like me than she wants to admit, right? But one of the things we were talking about is how there's mental health is a massive problem in the country, right? Mm. And my perspective is, it's like, yeah, it's because people don't love themselves. I mean, we're trying to find what gender we are, and like there's just all these confusing things that are happening to people, right. And people are naturally confused, right? And then they go down these paths and they find these support systems, and it's like, to me, it really boils down to just being comfortable with you, and then taking accountability for your choices and your actions, and being okay with that. Yeah, you know.
What's interesting is that once you do that, then you allow that love to come to you too. Yeah. Right? Because a lot of times we self-sabotage, right? Where if you don't even love yourself, how do you expect for other people to love you? Like that's what you think, right? And so then you kind of, you don't build the relationships the way they should be, and then you push people away, and it's real. But the more that I've been kind of true to myself, you know, I'm allowing that same love to come, and this is a realness, and it's been exactly the people that are in my life are, you know, the people that are supposed to be there right now. Yeah. You know.
Now I'm going to ask you a very leading question.
Yeah, please.
And if you don't agree with me, I want you to bash this question.
All right, let's go.
I want to know if you feel the same way, because people will say, well, how do you love yourself? How do you get to that point? And to me, you just choose it. Mm. And I think what you do is you bang the noise out of the world, right, out of your head. And then you look at yourself and you just go, I choose me, right? Mm. That's the way that I did it, at least. And I feel like people, you know, they do tools, and sometimes they, you know, do like plant medicine, or they'll go on like retreats, and they'll do all this stuff to kind of find themselves or whatever. Yeah. And I think what happens is you're really just pushing all the noise and the distractions out, and then it's just me and me in a room, and we just decide that we love each other. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that question?
The question so can you ask me the question again?
So the question is, did you just decide to love yourself? Is that how you love yourself? You just have to decide to.
Yeah, what comes to mind is, I agree. I think it's a choice. And then I love when you said pushing all the noise away, and then just being in that room with just you, and telling yourself and asking yourself, like, what do you really want? Yeah. Right? What is Mark really? Who is Mark, and what does he love, and what does he want to do right now? And staying true to that. And then, that's where I can be like, yes, I agree. It's just choosing to be me, choosing to be real to me. Yeah. And I actually do what I knew all along. And I just allowed all this noise and what other people thought and what society thought was normal kind of dictate what I should do, right? But yeah, I agree. I'm not going to bash that. I agree. I think it's more of a choice that you have to choose you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it feels good, right?
Right. No. Yeah. You can let go of so much.
Yeah. I also feel sometimes too, when you choose that and you kind of start living your life that way and you kind of really like live that, right? And you really get comfortable with that idea. You're like, man, why didn't I do this forever ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, why am I hard on myself? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like one of the things, you know, like in our group, right? I was trying to rank the best looking guy, right? I was kind of being funny about it, right? Blah, 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 blah. And then people would be like, well, are you one of the best looking guys? I'm like, shit, I'm a freaking 5, bro. And I'm happy being a 5. You know what I mean?
Like
I'll get people with humor, you know what I mean? But, you know, I don't need to be a freaking 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I really look at it too. And like I have this thing, people used to ask me this, like, you know, because I'm attracted to one kind of girl and the guy that would be attracted to that kind of girl. And I'd be like, oh, I don't think that girl's hot. Like you were like celebrities, right? Because they're kind of just like a poster, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was funny to me because there'd be like women I would think were just amazingly beautiful. And I'd have a friend who'd be like, no. I'm like, how can you not see this? You know what I mean? Yeah. And what I learned over time was it's because I've either seen that actress in a movie and I love the character and I had a false sense of who their personality was, right? But then I would apply it to my real life and I'd meet women in real life or I'd meet men in real life that I find attractive. And I'm like, it's not just your looks that's attractive. It's the energy. It's the way you carry yourself. It's the intelligence level that you're at. Like the whole personality behind the looks, right? And you start really diving into that and you're like, yeah, pretty much everyone's a 5, right? There's a couple like Brad Pitt's like one of the most best looking guys ever, right?
I agreed.
But when you start having like a really good personality and self-love and energy and just people are attracted to you, dude, you shoot up that scale.
100%.
And you're sitting at 7 and 8.
Yeah, 100%.
You know? It's kind of wild, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like it's, when you're comfortable with yourself, yeah, like it, you know, it's just, it also just gives you that confidence. Nobody, no matter whatever or whoever says you're just you. Yeah. And it's been interesting for me as I've been trying to be true and just be me. I catch myself sometimes. I'm like, man, like, you know, it's like, it feels so good, right? Like what you said, it feels so good. I'm like, why haven't I done this before? Why didn't I feel like this before? Right? But I still have those moments of like, I catch myself. I'm like, am I living too true? I don't know. It's like, am I doing too much? But I look back, I'm like, I'm just happy. You know, there's a lot going on in my life right now. And, but then I just have this huge amount of just gratitude just because I know who I am and I'm going to try my best. And if it doesn't work out or something, you know, it doesn't work out the way I want it to be, like, then we go again. Yeah. Right. But I'm at peace and I'm happy where I am right now.
I love that.
And there's so much power in that, you know, and I've, my whole life, dude, since I can remember, I've always had just uncertainty and it's always been cloudy. I just didn't know. I just didn't know. And I was so afraid of how things were going to work out and holding on to the past and holding on to my traumas. But now I'm just here. And I'm just here and whatever happens later on, as long as I'm being true to me, like I'm okay with whatever comes.
Yeah. Now you recently did something amazing that people will be really envious of, I think. You actually spent like a weekend with Wim Hof, right?
A whole week, yeah.
Was it a whole week?
Yeah, about 7 days, yeah, with Wim Hof.
Was it in Spain?
In Spain, yeah. So we, yeah.
So tell me about that whole experience, dude. I wanted to talk about it on the podcast, so I haven't like really quizzed you down, but explain who Wim Hof is for anyone that hasn't heard about him.
Yeah, Wim Hof is, he's known as the Iceman. I mean, I think 30, 40 years ago, he started all these cold plunging and breathing and really getting down to, hey, you can cure anything and everything just by breath work and cold exposure. And, you know, he's definitely out there. His method is pretty simple, but he's a genius on his own. Yeah, he's just doing his thing, and he's after so much ridicule and you know, obviously when you see someone going into ice, you know, maybe 20, 30 years ago, it's like, maybe this guy's crazy, but now maybe science has backed up all the benefits, right? So being around him was really cool. Yeah, it was kind of a surreal thing, just because when he was around, like he just carried that energy. about him. And just that whole experience was just out of this world. Like, I would recommend it 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many people were participating?
So about 120 people.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. And about 20 Americans, the rest all over the world.
Yeah. Now he's not from Spain. He's actually from like Norway or something, right?
Yeah. Norway, Poland, one of those. Yeah.
Something up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So, does he speak good English?
Yeah. He speaks good English.
Did he speak English while you guys were there?
Yeah. The whole thing was in English.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He has a loud voice. And yeah. No. So, the going into this experience, right? I didn't have too many expectations. I wanted to go in just to allow myself to fully just be into it. Whatever the program was, whatever. I didn't really look into it much. All right, so just going in there, no intentions, no and when we got there, from the very beginning, he just set the tone. He said, just be free, let go, surrender. And then he's like, you're gonna know what that really means by the end of this trip. And I thought, to that point in my life, I thought I knew what it meant to let go and surrender. But again, I learned to truly learn to surrender and let go and see what my heart really wants. Yeah. And being surrounded with like-minded people who want the same thing, but then just like the frequency, just everybody was just vibing. It was easy to relate and communicate, and it wasn't, we the conversations. Now I'm looking back, I'm like, I don't even know what these guys' like favorite color is. I don't know what they like to do. I'm like, we were just more connecting on just deeper stuff. Yeah.
So how'd the program work for a week? You showed up day one. What did you guys start doing?
Yeah, day one was, so we got picked up at the Barcelona airport, in the evening, like around 6 p.m. Then we took a 3-hour bus ride to Maurillo de Tao. It borders the French border, and it just mountains, beautiful. We got to this beautiful just resort, no AC. He just wanted to take it back. Of course, no AC. Flies everywhere, bugs everywhere. We just, in the beginning, it's like, it's a little bit annoying, but then you get used to it all. Had some dinner and went to bed. Then the next morning, it would be the same. We would all get together as a group and do a 1-hour breath session. Just go in deep. Like when I say deep, like it was just going in really deep, and they added music sometimes. And the thing about Win, dude, he's creative. Like he would grab a guitar and just start making up poems, and then rhyming, and then making up music in different languages, right? And then he's like, and then we would ask him, did you just make that up? He's like, yeah, it just came from the heart, just came from the soul, right? And then he would take up a different instrument. He's like, how do you play this? And then someone would teach him really quick, and he would just learn it right there, right? Like it was just that type of character. Yeah, he was. And then as the breath work, continued every day. For me, it was. I in the beginning it was more the ego. Like I need to outdo the person next to me. He's breathing better than me, right? Like it's how many times do I breathe? How long am I holding my breath for? But as days went by, like maybe like midway, I'm like, I wasn't even thinking anymore. I wasn't up here anymore. I wasn't in my head anymore. I was just feeling, right? So whatever, and my body already knew how and how long I needed to breathe. Like I was just more aware of that. And then the eyes exposure was pretty intense though too. Yeah.
Was it long, the eyes exposure?
Yeah, first time, it was about 36-degree water Fahrenheit. So we went in 10 minutes. Like that's the first day, get in there.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. We learned the horse stand, meaning, he had us do I don't know if you're familiar with a horse stand. You kind of stand, like you kind of squat, and then you move your arms, but then you're breathing, right? You go, ooh, and then you do that for like 30 minutes before ice. So it's more of a prep, right? And then, you get in the ice 10 minutes in, it's difficult, 10 minutes and 36, it's becomes a little bit hard. But what I loved is that it was more of a community pool, right? Circle. and then you were surrounded with your friends there. So that helped a lot. Second time around, we did 15 minutes it was 32-degree water, so 0 Celsius, and that was intense, dude. That we had had to dig deep, and that's when it clicked for me of what it meant to surrender and let go.
Yeah.
I was sitting there, and I thought, hey, I want to shiver. Like I'm like 11 minutes in, I'm like, I'm cold. My body core, like, I'm just cold. I can't get warm. I can't even focus right now. And I started to shiver like bad. And the first thought, I'm like, I got to control that. I can't shiver right now because maybe that looks bad, that looks weak, whatever it is. Maybe through my breath, I can control. I had one of the instructors come and talk to me. He's like, let go. I'm like, what do you mean? Shiver. Your body already knows what it needs to do. I'm like, is it okay to shiver inside the water? Yes. So I shivered. I don't know. I look like a crazy man, just shivering in the water.
Yeah.
30 seconds in, I'm good.
Yeah.
I can surrender again. That's what I meant. I learned how to surrender, and just listen, pay attention to my breath and what my body already knows. And that's kind of what I mean too. And I let go, and just continuing with that vibe was just surreal, dude. The whole experience was just intense. It was good. It was challenging. We did canyoning or canyoneering.
Yeah.
In Utah, I think we say canyoneering, but jumping off cliffs and doing a lot of just challenging yourself, right? It was a continual just challenge on the mind, on the body, and then forming that connection between mind and body.
Yeah.
And then the main thing for me was just I learned how to be less in my head and more in my heart and lead from the heart, and at least have that connection there.
Was that being taught to you guys, or was that your internal dialogue?
No, I was being taught for sure. So we split into, I think, like 7 groups of, I don't know, it's like groups of like 20-ish people per group, and we had 2 instructors. So they would be with us most of the day, and then we would have like 3 different like activities or get-togethers throughout the day. Yeah. And it was we learned the science, we learned the method, we learned, it was a lot of connection, every day was just packed. I was really good at disconnect from my phone too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you guys, were you getting cold every day?
Yeah, every day.
Once a day, twice a day?
Once a day.
Just once a day?
Yeah, once a day.
Morning, noon, night, did it matter?
It was like in the afternoon, because morning we'd do breath work, then we'd split into groups, and then we would all get together for some ice exposure.
Did you share your feelings much, or was it mostly instruction?
We shared our feelings in the small groups, and then in the bigger groups it was more instruction. Yeah, sorry, it was more instruction for sure.
Now Wim Hof, he's a little bit of an older man now, right?
Yeah, I think he's in his 60s.
In his 60s?
Yeah, I believe so.
Was he accessible? Were you able to talk to him much, like one-on-one, or is it?
So he would come maybe twice a day to like more the big setting, the group where everybody was together. Like the breath sessions he always came, the eyes exposure always came in, and sometimes we would do an activity afterwards. So, but he was fairly accessible, meaning if you wanted to go talk to him, you can just go talk to him.
Okay. Did you get a chance?
Yeah. No, I talked to him for a little bit. I mean, no videos, no pictures. That was one of the, they had their own photographers and videographers there, but they didn't allow you to take out your phone and record. I mean, I did anyway, but that's one of the rules. But yeah, no, he's just a free man. Like he has no filters. Yeah. So a lot of the stuff he said, I don't agree with, but I just love seeing people in their element. Yeah. Like that's just, and I appreciate that a lot. I mean, that's, there's so much richness in that, and diversity, right?
What was the theme of what he was saying to you guys?
The big theme was, I mean, it sounds so simple. Just breathe and let go, and love and power. There's so much power in love, and so, and then he would just that's all you need, right? Just simple. He would go a lot into story mode. Like he goes into method for like 5 minutes, and then 30 minutes of story. Yeah. And just craziness. Like when I say craziness, when I say filters, like we have filters, dude. Like we think of like some pretty crazy stuff, nasty stuff. And he was also very sexual. Like he would just speak his mind.
Really?
Yeah, dude, no filter. He would go into story mode, and then he would do the splits, like balls to the ground splits. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Like, yeah, let's do you. And so, yeah.
Is he a married man?
I don't think so. I think he mentioned he had a girlfriend. Yeah, I think he has. I don't know if he's been married. He was married. Sorry,
he was married at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, his wife committed suicide. I think that's why he got into the ice, is because he was in his book. He mentioned that everything seemed okay. His wife kissed everybody goodbye that night, and I think she either jumped or she hung herself. One of those two.
Oh, jeez.
And so that kind of messed him up really bad. And so for him to kind of cope with everything, that's where he found the release, and he found himself again. What's going into the ice, and where he can, and I can relate, right? Like when you go into cold water, you don't. You don't really think too much. Yeah, the only thing you can think of is maybe your breath.
Yeah.
So for anxiety, and people that over worry, it's a reset. You can.
So do you feel like you need to do cold plunges now?
Yeah. No, I've been practicing for a little bit, and I enjoy it. Like this morning, if I can't cold plunge, I take a shower.
Yeah. Cold shower.
And sometimes it's 3 minutes, sometimes it's 10, whatever. It's just, I get to the point where I feel, I've just let go of, I'm cold, I can't do this. And I'm just more of a meditative oneness, Zen state, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've, me in the group, I tease people about cold plunging.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But it's interesting. I almost look at cold plunging where it's like what you're saying, right? It's like, it's almost the vehicle to get you to focus on your breath. You know what I mean? And it's, I know there's some benefits to cold plunging and stuff like that.
Right. A lot of physical benefits. Yeah.
But a lot of it, right, is just getting into your breath. Am I accurate when I'm saying that?
100%.
Yeah.
And getting into your breath. And I mean, for a lot of us, it's something new, getting out of our heads and then just focusing on the breath.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a relief, by itself. But then you learn that, okay, it's not just that it's like a mental challenge, right? Because even me, I'm like, every time I'm going to go cold plunge, it's like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to be cold. Right. So then then you kind of train your mind on how you're going to respond. And that's been one of the main things for me too, is I'm training my mind, right, to see how I respond to pain, and the aspect of just leveling up has been one of the main reasons why I go in as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm really heavy into meditation. I've been that way for about a year now, right? And in my opinion, right, people have heard this before in the podcast, but like, if you want to call it prayer, it can be prayer, meditation, right? I really don't see a difference, right? I think it's just connecting with you and then connecting either to your higher self or a higher being, right?
Right.
And there's a couple other things that I've done as well, but like, I kind of look at meditation as like anxiety training, right? And so when we went running with the bulls a week ago, basically, right, I did not feel anxiety at all. Like literally at all, until we were in the arena with that one teenage bull that was kicking everyone's ass. Right?
That got crazy.
That's where I started going, oh my gosh, I kind of got scared actually, to be honest. I was like, I do not want to take this thing. You know what I mean? But I remember as the bulls came around Dead Man's Corner and started coming towards us, I was like, okay, it's time to go. And I just remember like turning around quickly and just sprinting, right? Yeah. And I knew people would fall down, and I knew the bulls would pass me, and I knew there's a potential that they might get me. You know what I mean? But I also was like, nah, but probably not. So I kind of just pushed it out of my head. And I remember sitting there thinking, like, as we're sprinting, we go all the way to the top of that hill, right? And I am like chest pounding, right? Like, I don't think I've sprinted that hard ever. And I was so excited and exhilarating and everything. And I remember sitting there thinking, I'm like, dude, that was crazy. Like, you had no anxiety. Like, I get anxiety sometimes as you're like clicking up a roller coaster, right? Like, oh, here we go. You know what I mean? I got none. And it was just like this thing to me where I was like, man, it's because you meditate this out. Yeah. It's because you've kind of trained for this,
100%.
And it's kind of a silly thing, right? I mean, I put myself in that situation, you know what I mean? It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like I all of a sudden found myself in a situation and, I was having an anxiety attack, but I like that aspect of cold plunging and breath work and meditation and all that stuff that kind of comes together, because no matter what happens in life, you got to stay crisp, right?
Right.
Ready to go. And especially when it comes to emotional things, right? You know, yeah, kids might be in trouble or, and here's one thing that's happened to me. I've saved about 5 people's lives, right? Like mouth to mouth. I've done the Heimlich maneuver. Like I helped push a guy's brain back in the back of his head. He had crashed on his motorcycle, dude. I was driving by, like crazy stuff, right?
Holy cow.
To tell you, I should bring it up with some of these Lewises, right?
You should talk about
I'm a weird dude, right? There's just so many things that have happened to me, but
your 5 experiences, yeah.
But it's wild when you get in those situations, and really being an Eagle Scout is what prepped me for that, right? Because that's where I got all that training, you know.
Interesting, yeah.
But there is a fight or flight, right? And when I've been in those situations, it's been so odd because I'm not nervous. I'm just doing what needs to happen, you know, especially when you're like doing the Heimlich on someone, right?
Yeah.
The first time I ever did it, I actually did it on my own father, right? Oh, we were snowmobiling when I was 15 and he had a seizure and died.
Wow.
And my uncle and I brought him back. And mostly my uncle, to be fair. I mean, he was the one, I was in a little bit of shock, but then it was like, and he's like, come help me. And it was like, you know, we're just thumping away and brought him back. And, you know, he's still alive today. And, you know, he ended up getting a pacemaker and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know, I remember that being such an intense thing. I had nightmares for months and months and months, right?
Yeah.
And even up until a couple of years ago, I had a moment where my kids were in a pool and they were a lot younger, right? And it was a baby blessing. Right? Or not a baby blessing, a baby shower. Go back to my roots. You go back. Hey, that's cool. And I just remember hearing my kids scream and I looked over and both their heads sunk in the deep end of the pool. And dude, I just jump in the pool. Another man jumps in the pool. Dude, I grab them and I get them out of the water. And dude, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those weird moments, right? Like you don't know how long they're under the water or not. And they were breathing as I'm walking them out of the pool, right? And they're crying and screaming.
Right.
And, dude, it was the weirdest thing. And I just remember sitting back down and I was just sopping wet. We were like eating, right? Because like, you know, having food and presents and stuff. And, you know, people's jaws are on the floor, right? Because it was obviously a moment where those kids could have died.
100%.
And I just remember like having the adrenaline push out of me and feeling really emotional and just being like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry that happened. And they're just, oh, it's fine. I'm glad everything's okay, you know? And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a distraction. And, you know, I was just talking just to like, push the anxiety around. You know what I mean? I didn't really give a shit if they thought it was out of order. You know what I mean? But I was just kind of like, ugh. And then I had nightmares about that, dude, for like months. Really? You know, well, watching your 2 kids almost drown is like,
of course,
wild, you know?
Yeah.
But I just remember being in the moment. It's like, if you prep yourself, you just do it. You know what I mean? There's no thinking, you just do it and it just makes it happen. And you know what I mean? Like, you know, your kids, right? You freaking stand in front of a train for your kids.
100%. You know? And that's something that was interesting enough, in that voice message I sent you this morning, I said, it makes me smile when I look at that video of you waiting for the bulls. You're just collected. You're just calm. Like people are freaking out all around you because the bulls are coming. Yeah. And when I see you, you're just calm. And people are already running. Yeah. And you're standing. You're standing just collected. Yeah. And then when it's time to go, you go. Like, and I'm like, bro, I haven't seen you run this fast or someone run this fast in a while, dude. And you're ready. Yeah. And I'm like, and what I told you in that voice message is, dude, I want to emulate that. Okay, when you know you're calm and collected, and there's so much that goes behind that because I'm sure, like you said, you've done the work to work on yourself and also you've been in scenarios like that. But even in the worst of times, you can stay collected and calm and in control. But then when it's time to go, like you're ready to go too. Yeah. Right. When it's time to turn on the jets, like you're ready to rock and roll. Right. And that was cool to see. You know, that's one of the things I mentioned. But yeah, no, I agree.
I can't wait to listen to it. Yeah.
I agree. I think it's there's work that needs to be done for you to get there. Yeah. But it's so worth it. And I agree on the meditation and the breath work. Yeah. Like it's just taking it back to just be simple. Yeah. There's so much work and there's so much power in that when you can achieve that state of, first of all, you're not so worried about anything in the future or whatever's happened in the past. You're just right now. Yeah. And you can, there's so much calmness and peace in that. And once you can stay there more often and longer, it's kind of helps you navigate life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when things pop up, right?
Right.
You know, I mean, you see like on TV, like some of the dads, you know, they freak out. The kid's done something. The dad's freaking out. Blah, blah, blah. And I just don't. Right. I mean, I've had employees do crazy, stupid things. I've had friends do crazy, stupid things. I've done crazy, stupid things. You know what I mean? Right. And it's just like I'll tell you another story. It was kind of funny. And this actually was a proud moment for me. And I don't even think I've expressed this to the people that were in this moment with me that much.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear.
So we went to Lake Powell earlier this year, and Matt Beret was on my boat with me, right? And my boat last year kind of broke down, so I just put a new motor in it, right? Because I'm like, screw it, I don't want to dick with this thing, just put a new motor in, right? And this is the first time we were taking it out, and it took all winter because there was one little part they had to get, you know, just all the nightmares that happens with, you know, motor parts and stuff like that. And so Matt and I so I got all the kids and the wives and all the stuff on the houseboat, right? And we go to Antelope Point, so they're like getting golf carted down, you know, we'll get the butts primed a little bit. So we put my boat in, started going. I'm like, oh, cool, things working great. You know, we go around these houseboats, dude, and boom, it just dies.
No way. And
I'm just like, you know, I'm like, all right. And I'm like kind of messing with it, you know, and blah, 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 blah. And Matt was like, everything good, dude? And I was just like, yeah, I mean, whatever, you know, I guess we'll have to go fix this, you know. And some guy comes walking by or driving by in his boat. I'm like, hey, man, you might come give us a tow over to my houseboat. My boat just broke down, you know, and everyone down there's happy, you know. Like, yeah, sure, you know, blah, 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 you know. So he takes us over there, and I'm just like, I'm honestly not fazed, right? Now, in my head, honestly, I'm just like, okay, I got to go rent a boat. That sucks. $3,000. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know? And I'll try and get this one fixed, but if I can't, you know, like whatever, you know. But then I've got like this whole houseboat of people. This is the only boat. And you know what I'm saying? At the time, there was only a boat. My cousin was coming out a couple of days later with his. But I was like, that sucks, you know? And I think Matt had told his wife, he's like, yeah, it was crazy. Like this thing just breaks and like all this shit happens. And Mark was just like, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just cool. Like, boom, you know?
Cool.
And because, you know, I mean, there's times where you freak out, you know, like people have road rage. It's just like an overreaction to stuff.
Right.
And it was actually, I was actually really proud of myself. And I just felt gratefulness that Matt saw that in me.
Right.
You know what I mean? That he was like, oh.
Yeah, he noticed.
Yeah. You know, because I mean, then we joked about it later, right? So yeah, I could have ripped the steering wheel off and freaking said the F word a million times. I was thinking it a million times, but you know what I mean? It was just like, whatever, you know? And it's like, we would have been the exact same situation. Yeah. You know? So the next morning, I end up, how did I get my boat over there? I can't really remember. Oh, I got towed again. Over to where the launch ramp is, right? You know, we're like getting towed on this freaking thing. And it's a pain in the butt, right? You know, I got to drive an hour into the city and like go to this shop. And I got there late because it's a different time zone. Like, oh, bro, it was like this whole thing. And the day ended up being super fun. Like Matt and I ended up going back in the other city. We got our nails done. We got pedicures. And then we went to like this bar, restaurant type place, had lunch, you know what I mean? Just bumming around all day. And, you know, the kids are fine. They just swam off the back of the houseboat like they care. You know what I mean? And, and it was a proud moment for me just not to be the guy that's just like freaking losing his mind left and right. You know, it's just like, no, it just doesn't matter. You know, as long as I'm happy and everyone else is going to feel that energy flow down to them, it's like, yeah, just stuff happens. We'll just be happy. Right. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. You know, there's a big testament of all the work you've done too, though. Right. Because I think that's one of it was my big issue was I didn't know how to regulate my emotions. And you go out as a man and then you suppress a lot of those emotions. And it's really easy for us men to blow up. Yeah. Because we have so much inside. Right. And I remember, I can relate, probably not as, not there where you are. But I can relate to the fact that, you know, that we as men, we need that. We need to get to that point. Yeah. And I wasn't there. I remember just being so emotionally unstable, right? Like, and I think that's one of my big, through my mental health is learning how to regulate, being more aware of me and doing the work. So then life scenarios like this happens, like, yeah, we're here. I'm grateful. My family's healthy. I'm here. Yeah. We're still going to have a good time. Yeah. Some bumps came and some challenges are here, but hey, like it's not going to ruin, you know, I'm not going to ruin everybody else's mood and this experience, right? Like it's, you know, it's power, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'll tell you, I do something every morning, and I told this to my wife recently, like in the last month.
Yeah.
And she thought I was totally joking, which I don't know why she does, because I never joke about stuff. I always tell the truth because it's funny, right? It's just life is crazy. And I was talking to her. I go, yeah, I wake up every morning and think, oh, good, I'm awake again. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, don't you do that? Like every morning I kind of wake up and I'm like, oh, good, we're doing this again. I didn't die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was funny. We were kind of joking about it. And she's like, no, you really think that, huh? I'm like, I think that every morning.
That's a gift.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't know when I started doing it, but it's as long as I can remember.
Really?
You know?
Okay.
But it's just like a little nice surprise. I also do it every time I land in a plane.
Huh.
So every time I land in a plane, I go, oh, good, I didn't die. But I'm not on the flight thinking I'm going to die.
No, for sure.
You know, and I don't go to sleep at night thinking I'm going to die.
Yeah.
But I do. There's the 2 moments. I literally wake up every morning. I'm like, oh, good, I'm alive again. And when I landed a plane, I'm like, good, I'm not dead.
Yeah. That's a cool perspective.
Weird thing I have in my head, you know?
Yeah. I think it kind of sets your mind right too.
Yeah.
Because when you think about death and then you have the gift of living, kind of sets you right.
Yeah.
Especially in the morning. And then when you land from the airplane, it's a kind of hard to have a bad attitude after that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're just happy.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's cool, man.
Oh, man. So switching gears a little bit,
Yeah.
I want to hear about your professional life a little bit, because you've done some really cool stuff. I went to the greatest baptism of all time, after party. The baptism was great, too. It was in Spanish.
Yeah.
So I'm for everyone listening, I'm alluding. I went to James's daughter's baptism.
That's right.
Which was cracking me up, dude, because number one, I told you this already, but I was really honored you invited me. Right. I want to be friends. Right. So I want to be involved in your family's life. Right. And, you know, I've left the church a long time ago, but I would love to come. Right. And I remember I sat down and, you know, obviously your family's of Hispanic, you know, background and stuff. There's a lot of that going on, and Bracken things over. He goes, you speak Spanish? And I go, no. And he goes, oh, better buckle up. And I was like, oh, and I didn't even think about it. Right. I was like, oh, I never even assumed it'd be in Spanish.
Right.
But it was actually really nice. You know, I mean, I don't speak the language. Right. But like, and I didn't get what anyone was saying. I mean, Holy Ghost is Holy Ghost in both languages, right? So every now and again you get that. But it was kind of fun. And then even when you baptized your daughter, you did it in Spanish. And I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. I'm kind of like having an experience here, you know? And then we rolled over to your house, and it was just like, dude, tent up, dude, little girls in these little cute dresses. And you got the guy barbecuing in the front. You got the taco truck that's yours. And, you know, all the food in the back. We had like a luau in the back. I was like, oh, James does it up.
Yeah, man.
You know? So tell me about it, man. Because I know you've got into, and you have a car dealership too, right?
Yeah, that's like my main thing.
Yeah, tell me everything.
Yeah, so, I mean, from baptism to professional, I mean, I think the only thing I want to say about the baptism is when we celebrate, we want to celebrate.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like the same mentality that you have when you wake up. I'm alive.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, hey, it's we don't celebrate like that every year, but we celebrate milestones. Yeah. 8 years old for us it's a big decision. It's actually like 5 months after her birthday. So she just chose to wait, and we're proud of her.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, cool.
So when she was ready, and we're like, let's do it. Yeah. So we wanted to celebrate her decision and of her following Christ, right?
Yeah.
But then we wanted to celebrate with all our friends and people that we love. Yeah. And so we're like, we just went out, and, you know, we probably a little bit too much, but for me, it's like, it was just right.
Awesome.
It was just right. You know, it's had a good time, and I think I've learned that from the group too. I think Jimmy's mentioned that a few times, like, when, you know, celebrate life.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, shifting to my professional, you know, kind of life. The little story. So I got back from my LDS mission. I served in Oregon. I got back, and my cousin, he had already been home for a little while, about a year. And growing up, my dad had a car dealership. I've always, since I was like 10 years old, I've worked in a car dealership. So every position you can imagine in the car industry, like, I've been there. Lot tech boy, detailer, finance, sales, whatever, you know, I've been there. And so I always told myself, I'm not going to be in the car business. Like, I know the lifestyle. There from early to you close really late. So there's no family time. I'm like, that's just not for me. Got back from a mission. Cousin's like, hey, let's just, I found a way. There's junker cars people post on KSL, and like, they just need them out of their yards. You know, they need them out of their driveways. we can pay them $100, or sometimes it's free. And what we noticed that is when we were picking these cars up, like it didn't need much. Like it needed like a battery, or it needed an alternator, it needed some small little things. So we're getting them for free, and then we're, you know, turning them and, you know, flipping them for, you know, $2K, $3K. It's like, oh, cool. If we can do this, you know, once or twice a week, like that's okay money, you know?
Good money, yeah.
And then he opened up his dealership, and then, you know, he was rolling with that. And then he's like, hey, let's go 50-50 on the dealership. And we decided to go do that for a while. And it was amazing. I mean, I think I learned so much, and I think experience is priceless. I also lost a lot of money. Right? I got a crap load because I think it's learning by trial and error is expensive. We went through the, you know, waking up at 4 a.m, going to bed at midnight for years and years. I mean, that's the hustle, right? That we were all about that, and it came to the point that we were doing good. 200 plus cars, five locations. Just we got too big for our own good. You know, it wasn't sustainable. It was just a big monster that required a lot of what we weren't, you know, capable of giving, and so we decided to kind of scale back down a little bit, and it came to the point where for mutual reasons we decided to part ways. Sold him my percentage, and then he went off in his way, and that was about 5 years ago. And then I just started my own, for me, the small feel. Just simple. It's what I needed. Yeah. So we have a 30 to 40 car lot, depending on the season. Just simple, used cars. Yeah. But, you know, it's super comfortable. I have the right team. They're all family, by the way.
Oh, are they?
My mom works for me. My dad works for me. My uncle, my sister, my wife that works there, her two little cousins. You know, it's like, and for me, it's been a gift. You see my mom every day. And the crazy part is, like, my mom and dad are, you know, divorced, and so you're seeing them in the same, you know, it's like it was a weird dynamic in the beginning, but we've made it work, and everybody is it just flows. It just works for me, right? So then I have flexibility of, I don't need to show up to the office to the afternoon. I can spend time with the family, and then I can leave early in the evening, you know, and I don't need to be there that often. It's been good to kind of set that up the way that, you know, a way that fits my lifestyle. Yeah. But, you know, the car business has been great to me. I think, you know, thinking long term about the client, right? Not just making quick money, but being around long term has been our mentality, and just doing right by the client. Yeah. So no, it's been great. I mean, I also ventured out. I mean, I have my real estate license. So I try and play around. I'm learning, and you know, the food truck has been new. I mean, I just sold my percentage of a construction company I was involved with.
Oh, really?
You know, it was cool. Like, it was, you know, you get to the point where it feels, you know, right on both ends to sell. And so just I felt like for a while now, I've always tried to reach for things because I didn't really know who I really was. Yeah. But now that I've come to this point, I'm just so happy with, the car business has been good. It's actually something new, but I'm working on selling my percentage of the food truck business. Is just already. It's like, it was so quick, but then it's like, it feels so right, and it's a healthy exit. I'm like, well, is it so? It's doing well. Yeah, it was doing well. Yeah, it's doing well. The partners that I have there are amazing people. They're amazing people, and it's just my heart. I just have to be true to me, and so I know what I want to do, and it's more the wellness side, and I think with Zencore and all that. And so, like, that's where I'm going to be putting all my time and effort into. So let's talk about that. So that's you and Bracken, one of the guys in our group. Yeah. Actually flew up to Toronto, am I right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Toronto. Yeah, tell us about the business you guys checked out. Yeah, so the business we checked out is called Othership. They're just doing it right. Yeah. It's just it's a hot and cold contrast bathhouse, right? You go into the sauna, you know, for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Then you get out, rinse off in cold plunge. So there's a lot of health benefits. But the way they're doing it that's different is that they incorporate breath work in the sauna, and they have guided and facilitated classes that are ran by someone in just quality. So they take you through this meditation and breath work inside the sauna, and it's more of a bigger group too. So it's not a small, 5 to 10 people, and it's 30 to 40 people. So the sense of community and connecting and just, working and healing from trauma from breath work is, that's a lot of where my healing has come from, is just meditation and breath work. Yeah. And doing that inside the sauna just opened my eyes. I'm like, hey, yeah, this is huge, right? Because a lot of people want to heal. Like whoever's going through something hard right now, whether it be anxiety or depression, like, of course they want to get out of that, right? They don't want to feel like that. But sometimes you just don't know how. Just that fear of the unknown, or just not knowing how. So just providing a space where we can help people feel better and educate them, and create a space where they're safe too, right? Because I've traveled in different places, different bathhouses throughout the world, and that's, even in Spain, when I went there, I tried a few different places out. Yeah. That were different, right? I want to see what's different. I want to, and so I've kind of with Zencor, we're kind of creating a all in experience where we're putting little pieces of all these different bathhouses together, and making it more of a bigger feel too. We're going to be, we thought about doing other, providing other services that kind of connect with healing and recovery, and so it'd be like an all-in-one wellness center. That's what we're thinking, but yeah, I'm excited, and Bracken came along. I've been to Toronto before, but I wanted him to experience that too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be exciting. And so you guys are gonna try and open that in Orem, right?
Yeah, we were.
Have you greenlit it?
Huh?
Have you greenlit it yet?
What does that mean?
Are you guys doing it, or are you guys still looking to see if you're gonna do it?
No, business plan is built, dude. Been working on it for about a year, continually, and for me, it's 100%. I'm gonna do it. Like, and I'm putting it out here right now too. Like, it's, I don't want to be called a liar afterwards, but into myself, like that's where I'm being called to. Right. And if there's that one person that we help, or if it opens up and it does terrible, but there's that one person that we help, like, just heal and get to know himself, like that, or herself, like I'm doing it for that. Right. Yeah. I'm doing it because it helped me, and it helped me heal. And because it's been such an important part of my life that I want to give back. Right. The whole, obviously the revenue projections, everything makes sense too. Like, everything, we've done my homework, and everything should be right where it needs to be. But we're looking more in the Lehigh area. I have the blueprint. Like, I can just give it to you and be like, this is how you read this. This is it. Yeah. It's just finding the location right now. Yeah. So we were under contract for one in Orem, just didn't work out. And then Lehigh, I'm going to go look at one property today. Good. And wanted to be more in the middle, Lehigh, and maybe a little bit more north, so we can service some people from up north too. Nice. So
good, man.
But yeah, man, excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, dude. I can't wait to get wet in there. Yeah. And dry and hot and cold.
Yeah, we're gonna have, from IV therapy, from the infrared to the cryo to the oxygen chambers to a big yoga room. Like, it's gonna be more of, not just the hot and cold contrast, but just an all around place in the upscale and the vibe. It just has to be there, right? Yeah. So yeah, we're excited. Yeah, we're excited.
Oh, cool, dude. I love that kind of stuff. It's funny, right? Because I live in a very logical world, right? A lot of Excel spreadsheets, a lot of data, a lot of stuff like that, right? But really, when you start getting into breath and cold plunging and like really helping people's mental health, I think it's very admirable that you guys are running down that road. I also think it's very fulfilling.
Oh, 100%. I
kind of tease because people's advice, other people, like, find something you're passionate about. And I'm always like, find something you can make some really good money in, and then do passionate things with it, right? That's kind of more my attitude, right? Because like one of the businesses I own, we sell whiteboards, right? I don't give a shit about whiteboards. You know what I mean? I do not wake up every morning thinking, I can't wait for someone to get a whiteboard today.
The best whiteboards out there.
Yeah. We do, but whatever. You know what I mean? And so I love that you're going to be able to, because you've done well in business, you're going to be able to move into more of that passion project side, and hopefully you can, hopefully people listen to this, go support this, like it's the kind of stuff we need in our community, places, healing centers where people can go and, but you also have to run a business.
Right.
It's not a charity, it's not like you're getting subsidized, you got to have people come in and participate and pay and make it work.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah. No, everybody's invited, and hopefully the plan is by the end of the year, first quarter of next year, we should be fully functioning.
Nice.
And open. So
nice.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted for sure.
Very cool. So let me ask you a couple random lightning questions.
Let's do it.
What's the most important thing to you?
Right now, I would say peace, having peace in my life.
I love that. Why is that coming to your mind? Broadly.
Because I've never had that.
Yeah.
Fully. We all had traumas. We all have difficulties, whatever. I just never allowed myself to have that.
Yeah.
And not that I didn't have moments of that, but now I have more of it because I'm more aware of me.
Yeah. What's the next great thing you want to accomplish?
The next great thing I want to accomplish, those are some good questions, dude. Holy cow. What comes to mind is just being a present and available dad. Not that I'm not accomplishing it now, but I want to continue, being a part of my kid's life.
Yeah.
No matter what, that's something very important to me, right? And that's what I look forward to, is just being available and present for them.
I love that. You could change one thing about the United States culture. What would you change? The
culture? The comparing. I think just it kills a lot of self-love. You spend too much time, worrying about other people, and you compare yourself to them. It just kills it. It's poison.
What's your greatest source of happiness, and how do you hold on to it?
My greatest source of happiness, for me, is Jesus Christ. First, and it's just, I've had a lot of experiences in my life that I just can't deny, and he's the greatest source of happiness for me. And I gotta keep working on my relationship with him, however that looks like. Yeah, like trial and error sometimes, but then also, just whether it be praying or kind of showing up the way that I, following his teachings.
Yeah, I love that. How do you stay close to him?
How do I stay close to him?
Yeah.
I talk to him throughout the day. It's kind of weird. I just have conversations with him. Like when in the car, I'm just talking to Heavenly Father, but then, it's just that open communication too. He knows everything, but I also need to tell him.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have an open communication with him, with my Father in heaven, I guess. And not just, with Christ himself, but then I make it a big, I try to make it where I can also read his scriptures. Like I find a lot of peace in reading the scriptures, dude. Like it's weird. But whenever I open up and I just read, I'm like, holy cow, that was there the whole time. It's like, and then also showing up and actually when the time comes, when I have to stand true to what I believe is, and just staying true.
Yeah. That's beautiful. What's your best 2 minutes of advice? It's always the last question I ask people.
The best 2 minutes of advice?
Yeah.
Be you. Don't apologize for you. It might be people that you might hurt along the way, but when you can show up as you and you can be authentic, the right people are always going to stay. They're always going to be there for you. And work on yourself. And one of the things I've been working on is, and what the advice I give is, the more, when you can work on yourself and invest in yourself, however that looks like you're going to be able to show up as a better version for those around you. You're going to show up as a better dad, better husband, brother, spouse, son, whatever. But it starts with you. And I was always a giver. And I always thought that putting people first always was the right thing, which sometimes it is, yeah. But take care of you.
Yeah. Perfect, dude. Thank you for coming on the podcast,
I love this. Yeah, dude. It was incredible.
It goes pretty quick, huh?
It was quick, man. I don't know how long we've been doing this, but yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my friend, I wish you all the best luck, dude. I'm excited for our friendship till one of us dies.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not me.
I'll see you on the other side, whatever, however that looks like. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I hope really that with more than you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, my friend, thanks again.
Yeah, dude. Pleasure. Love you, dude.
Thanks for listening to the President McCormack Podcast, brought to you by McCormack Foundation, Saxton Fund, ADP Lemco, and Professional Floor Systems. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and keep up with Mark on Instagram @President McCormack.